All right, now the case against a man accused of the murder of a family of 5 has been withdrawn. The burnt remains of the family from Richmond in KZN were found in their car earlier this month. Another co-accused was released due to a lack of evidence. Our reporter Lethiwe Mdluli has been following this case for us, and she joins us now live. Lethiwe, so we hear the matter was delayed once again. What was the outcome today?
Well, Masego, there were a lot of frustrations coming from the family's side as they had to wait for hours at the court without any information, without being told what was actually happening. We understand that the matter has been withdrawn against the suspect that was set to appear today, but of course, while we were there, we were not informed that he did appear in court. We waited for hours for the matter to be heard, but unfortunately, we were not informed along with the family. So there were a lot of frustrations coming from the family. I actually had a chance to speak to them about their reactions to last week and to today's events, and they were saying that they're very disappointed with the justice system, and they were saying that they feel like they were not important and that their feelings were not taken into consideration because they have not been given any relevant information. The way that they found out that the case had been withdrawn was they saw the suspect coming out of the court without any police present, so they were questioning how he was allowed to actually walk out. And this was, of course, after they had waited hours in the sun waiting for the matter to be heard. So they were saying that just last week in Richmond, because even there in Richmond, when we were there, we sat from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. without any information from the prosecutors or the police. They were only informed in the afternoon last week that the other suspects had been released. And much like today, they only saw the suspects coming out without any police, and they were asking questions which were relevant questions to the police as to how they were not informed that the suspects had been released. But of course, the charges have been withdrawn, and we actually had a chance to speak to them after they saw him walking out, and they were saying that they still need answers from the National Prosecuting Authority and the police as well as to how this actually happened.
I can imagine, Lethiwe, that sounds like a nightmare for that family. And the National Prosecuting Authority, what are they saying about this?
Well, Masego, during the time where we were waiting for the matter to be heard at the Pietermaritzburg Magistrates Court, we sent questions to the NPA, wondering and also just wanting answers from them as to how this happened and what exactly played out in court, because we were unable to sit on that matter. And we sent them questions hours ago, and this afternoon they told us that they were unable to give us any information at the moment, because the person who is in charge of their communications department was unable to reach any of his colleagues here in KZN. So for now, we do not know exactly what took place inside the court. We only know that the charges against the suspects were withdrawn because we were able to see them walking out of the court.
And Lethiwe, I know this, you might not have had the chance to, but when you saw the suspects walk out of court, did you get a chance to speak to them? And if not, how was their demeanor? As far as I understand, following the story through your reporting, of course, is that these are family members. It seems like a family feud over a farm. Just remind me, and also how was their demeanor when they left court today, if you didn't get a chance to speak to them?
Well, we actually attempted to speak to him, but of course he ran away from us, and the family also wanted to ask him how was he able to walk out, because at that moment they were not aware that the charges had been withdrawn against him. He seemed very calm. He just slowly walked out of the court in front of the family, and that's when we actually saw him, because we got a chance last week to see him appear before the court in Richmond. And while he was walking out, he just basically walked out in front of the family. He seemed very quiet, walked out, and we tried to have a word with him, of course, but he ran away as quickly as he could when he saw cameras. And just to take you back on what happened to the family, they disappeared last month around the 15th or the 16th of November, and the family then went to the police in Richmond to inform them that they could not get a hold of their loved ones. And then last week on Monday, the police police released a statement saying that they had found 5 bodies of the family that was missing, and that they had arrested the 2 suspects. Shortly after the suspects were arrested last week, the remains were then found. The family is saying or alleging that the suspects were the ones who led the police to where they could find the bodies. Of course, the bodies were found at a plantation just outside Boston in Pietermaritzburg, and now the family is just calling for justice, Masego, saying that they do not understand how someone who had pointed to where the bodies could be found could be let out, and claiming that there is not enough evidence against them, because of course they were also found with some of the stolen items from the family home. So the family is calling for justice, and they're saying that investigations still need to continue, because they do believe that the 2 suspects that were released on this case are the ones that actually committed these crimes.
All right, Lethiwe Mdluli, thank you very much for that comprehensive report.